Hey y'all, it's your girl Lauren E. Boone, aka It's Lauren Liz, on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and on Twitter. So follow me there if you haven't already. And welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I hope you stay a while, peruse our other videos, and see if you are encouraged, strengthened, or challenged by any of the material that we or I have posted recently or in the past. So we're back again. It's August. I definitely had a great summer vacation. For those who don't know, I am a social worker and therapist. So I'm a school social worker providing therapy and guidance in schools. Well, in a DC public charter school, and I do private practice with brain-based therapies in the part-time, a little something. So I'll have a video on that next time, but this video is specifically about strengthening families, and this is something that's very dear and near to my heart. This is my niche. Like, when I think about the modalities and the people that I want to work with within therapy and healing, is families, because of my own, it's very personal to me, right? My own familial situation has really spearheaded a lot of healing in my family, in my immediate family, my family of origin, and myself. And so I really do think that this is where God is leading me to be, like, to do ministry as well as to do therapy. And so, yeah, we're gonna get into it. And we're gonna just talk about and explain how boundaries look, or like when you need to set boundaries, not just with like your parents, especially as millennials. I don't know if you're a millennial watching this. You can also be a baby boomer, Gen X, Gen Z. Like, hello, this is for all of us. But as a millennial, my perspective on this is that we are all dealing with this, right? We're all dealing with how we can operate as adult children to our parents and still be respectful, but also have our boundaries set in place as well, because we all need boundaries, not just as children, adult children, but our parents also need to set boundaries with us as well. And so we're just going to talk about that. Like, what are some red flags, or what are some signs that, okay, I need to set a boundary? So let's get into it. So when we think of boundaries, we think of the boundaries we put in place with our parents, right? That's probably the first thing that comes to mind, or with our partners, okay? But I want us to think beyond that. Let's think about our family, our extended family. So let's think of grandmas, grandfathers, aunties, uncles, those kind of things. What are the red flags, or what are the okay, ding, 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 the glaring things that trigger you to make you be like, okay, I need to place a boundary? Because sometimes we just operate in the dysfunction that our family has always operated in, right? This love of operating in dysfunction, not to rock the boat, not to make anyone mad or upset, but just to like pull away. And I'm from the train of thought that I don't want to cancel anybody, okay? I want to make better relationships, especially with the people that I share blood with, right? And sometimes it's just not accessible. It's just not, you're not able to do it. Some people pass away too soon, or pass away. Some people you just literally cannot trust anymore. Some people you just figure like, okay, I can't make them have a relationship with me, but what can I do to better this relationship with this person in my family that I want to have a relationship with? So in the spirit of not canceling anyone that I love, let's do something to better the relationship. So I want to discuss at least 4 things that I think will raise some concern for you in your familial situation, that says, hey, signals to you, I need to set a boundary with this person. And then how do you start that conversation in order to set that boundary? That is something I've been putting together for the last 4 years now under my brand and my wellness ministry, Love Well Ministries. If you want following that as well on Instagram, you can. Love Well Men. Stay connected. We're building community God's way. Shameless plug. But let's get back to what we're here for, okay? So, like I said, I have my notes, because sometimes y'all know, if you know me, if you've been here a while, I can ramble a little bit. So in the spirit of being concise with my content, let's go to our notes. Okay. So signs to look out for when you need to implement boundaries with family members that are not just mom, dad, sister, brother, cousin, right? So when you feel like you have to code switch in front of your family, like when you can't, use your black colloquialism, your ebonics, like what? When you feel like you gotta be quiet around them, that's a sign. That's like, okay, something is making me feel uncomfortable about being around this person. There is something that's unsaid. Something happened 4 or 5 years ago that I'm still holding on to, which ultimately hurts me and the relationship. I need to put a boundary, or at least have a conversation to where a boundary can happen for both of us. Because who knows, that person may be feeling the same way, but we can only go off what we feel, what we know to be true to ourselves. So if you feel like you have to code switch in front of your family, and you should be able to be your best self, your funniest self, your geekiest self, you're like, out there so with your family, then that's a sign I need to have a conversation with this family member, or at least I need to put in a boundary, that I can respect when I'm with this person. Like, what am I going to do? No, I got to stop being quiet with this person. I just need to be who I am, and they going to take it or leave it. And if they feel some kind of way, then hopefully they'll bring that to me. Code switching in families is not a good thing. You're supposed to be your best self around your people. You know what I mean? Your people. All right, number 2, you find yourself ignoring calls and text messages. Like, you watching the phone ring, like, gosh, what do they want? Ugh, no. And then you don't call them back. Then you see them at the next family function, like, oh yeah, my bad. No, that's not a way to operate. That's another set. That is one of the most important signals. Like, okay, what is it that I'm avoiding here? What is it that I'm avoiding? Number 3, your body language changes around them. So if someone come in, you clam up, you turn around, you want to go outside. Okay, that's your body telling you, flee. Let's flee this situation. There's something that's unresolved here. We have to leave. And truth be told, most of our problems with our family members is because we don't address shit when it happens. Excuse my language, but it's the truth. We don't address stuff when it happens. Address it right then and there. Maybe 2 weeks from then. Okay, give yourself a little time. And I'm not gonna say I'm guilty of this, but I definitely have allowed something to linger for about a month. And it wasn't me that started the conversation this time. It was a family member, and I was grateful for that. But when that space was opened and we were able to talk about it, I brought my concerns to the table. She brought her concerns to the table, and we were able to get back to the relationship that we always had, because it was very strange that we would even have this type of encounter that we did have. So being open to have a conversation is also important too. You might not be the one to start the conversation, but being open to hear the person that you love, that you share blood with, is more important, okay? Because you're allowing them to understand, okay, this is a safe place. This is a place where I will be heard and at least listened to, okay? Maybe not understood, but at least listened to. All right. And that brings me to my last point, not feeling listened to or being cut off when you're talking to someone. When we think of these family members, we have to understand the things that we don't know, right? Because there's a lot, especially in the Black family, there's a lot of secrets. There are a lot of, there are just a lot of things that people are holding on to in their body that they have never once communicated to someone. So if someone is being brave enough or strong enough or vulnerable enough to even share with you what has hurt them, then you have to listen. Like, you have to listen, because if you don't create that safe space for them, that vulnerable space for them to show up authentically themselves and to be able to communicate, this is how I would like to move forward. So when you find yourself being cut off or not listened to or ignored by someone, it's hurtful. Let's acknowledge that first. Like, let's acknowledge that shit hurts. Again, excuse my language, but it's the truth. It hurts. And in order for the healing to start to happen, we have to acknowledge, or the person that made the person feel hurt or ignored or less important or not enough has to be accountable for that, and has to acknowledge, like, I made this person feel this way, therefore I need to say sorry, right? I have to, in order for the relationship to even move forward, a sorry has to be said, acknowledgement has to be had. Yeah, so those are the 4 things. And I'm interested to hear, like, what y'all have experienced in your own family dynamic. Like, what has been something that you've noticed that triggered you to, like, want to retreat instead of to, like, be like, nah. And for a lot of us, it's just because that's how the family has always operated. So you're in this loop of, well, that's just that person, or that's just how they gonna be. And it's not okay. It's not okay just to be like that. We have to challenge each other. We have to hold one another up. We have to make sure that people are progressing and not regressing or just staying stagnant, especially when we are talking about relationships. We're talking about relationships here. Because what is life without a relationship, especially with the people you love, especially with the people you share blood with? You want to make memories with them, right? These are the people that's supposed to make you feel home and safe. And so if you had that and it's interrupted by a misunderstanding or an encounter that went bad, it is the responsibility of both sides to have a conversation. Someone may offer to have the conversation, but it's also the other person's responsibility to hold space for that conversation to happen. So I want to also provide y'all with some resources for when you do notice those triggers or those red flags, how you can go about, addressing them. So Give me a second. I'll be right back with some resources. So, I believe in preparing you all with resources. So, pointing something out, but also giving you resources as well. So I have 3 resources here to help you with having those kind of conversations with your family members and how to go about starting the conversation. The first one is, a service that my brand Love Well Ministries does is called Start the Conversation. As many of you know, as you can see, and I'll put it here, but as many of you know, I had a series last year with my mom called Here Together, Healing Together. And it was a 4-part series of just like our relationship and how we were able to have a very crucial conversation in my mid-20s that allowed us to, it opened up a new realm for our relationship. It allowed us to see each other eye to eye, woman to woman. And it was a very high stakes conversations that we were having, but we had to start it somewhere. And y'all need to just go see episode 1 or 2, I think, of that series. But this service here for Love Well allows you to understand your patterns, understand the triggers that you see continuously in your relationships, and how to start the conversation. So I will help be a facilitator, but I'm helping you figure out those triggers and how to go about having a conversation with whoever in your family or your loved one that you want to have that conversation with. So it'll start with you'll receive a guide, kind of go through that. It'll be like a workbook for you, and then we'll have a facilitated conversation where I'll act as just like the guider. You'll invite your family member if you choose to do that, because you could just do it on your own. But if you would like to have a facilitated conversation, then I'm your girl to do that with. So if you would like more information about that, or to get started with how to start that conversation, hashtag start the conversation, you can go to www.lovewellmin, so that's LOVEWELLMIN.com, and you can go under wellness services and you'll find more information there. So start the conversation with your loved one. It's a must. Okay, so that's the first resource. The second resource which is something I was introduced to while I was working in New York at another public charter school there. It was something that we kind of hounded because crucial conversations were always happening when there are high stakes at hand and there are emotional issues that you have to talk about. How do you convey what you really want to say to a person without allowing your emotions to get involved? And so this is a book that I highly recommend. It's called Crucial Conversations, Tools to Talking When Stakes Are High. So especially when you're in a family relationship. So this is very helpful for professional relationships as well, but it can also be used for familial relationships because things are always emotional. And sometimes our emotions can kind of fog up what we're really trying to say. So this will help you kind of understand when talking to someone you love, how to go about it. So that's a very good book for that. Crucial Conversations. The author, I think it's multiple authors. Yeah. Patterson, Grinny, McMillan, and Switzler. Very, very good book. This is something I go to often. I probably need to reread it. And then the very last resource that I will give you all today is something that I read last year. And when I have clients, I always recommend this book because it comes from a therapist's lens. Her name is Nidra Glover Tawwab. Beautiful, beautiful soul. If you don't know, follow her on social media. You have had to see this video somewhere. A beautiful Black woman who wear her hair in an afro. She talks about this a lot on Instagram. Just about setting boundaries and finding peace. So she has a whole section in here. Let me see what chapter it is, but she has a chapter for family. It's called chapter 10 is family. It's about setting boundaries with family members. Okay. And she gives you different scenarios that may come up. She gives you, how boundaries sound when you're talking to parents, but these are also things that you can implement with grandparents, with aunties, with uncles, with cousins, with siblings. And so I definitely recommend this. She talks about setting boundaries for the holidays with in-laws. So definitely a great resource to have in your library if you do read a lot. I'm sure she has a what is it called? can't think of it. An audiobook. I'm sure she has an audiobook. So if you just go on audiobooks.com and type in her title, Set Boundaries, Find Peace. It is a guide to reclaiming yourself. I'm sure you will be able to read through it, but definitely take notes. And she also has a workbook that goes along with this. When I purchased the book, she did not have a workbook, so this came out recently. So you can also purchase the workbook. And this is just a skill to have, because once you are able to set boundaries with family members, you are able to set boundaries with anyone. Trust me, okay? Trust me. So these are all resources. The 2 resources that I shared last have been the 2 resources that have helped me greatly produce the Starting the Conversation Guide, hashtag Start the Conversation Guide, with your family members or your loved ones. So if you're interested in connecting on that, get at me. I'm your girl for that. I love this work. This is my passion. I want to see families heal. Most importantly, our older Black women must heal. We must heal, okay? We must. I've been too, but our women have my heart. This has been another video by your girl, Lauren E. Boone. I hope you've enjoyed it. This is a Black wellness video. All of my content is centered around Black faith, Black wellness, and Black culture. And so this year, the end of the year, we're going to really focus on new content. So I'm just going to be throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks with you all, see what you like. A vlog may be coming soon. I always wanted to tip my toe in vlogging. So we're going to see how that goes, our next video. And then also introduce you into my professional world as well, because it is what I do on a daily basis, with helping people heal, helping people regulate emotions, and just helping people understand our patterns a little bit more. So in order to understand ourselves, we're on a journey to loving ourselves and others as well. As always, be well, love well. Love y'all. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. See y'all for real.